What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Jacked Ramsays. Danny Meringue, Brandon Sprague. It's happened. It's over. It's done with. Damian Lillard has been sent to the Milwaukee Bucks in a massive, massive deal as part of a three-team deal that will send Jrue Holiday, Deandre Ayton, Toumani Camara, a 2029 unprotected Milwaukee first, swap rights with the Bucks that are unprotected in 28 and 30. The Phoenix Suns will take on Jusuf Nurkic, Grayson Allen, Nassir Little, and Keon Johnson. Jrue Holiday will be flipped further by the Portland Trailblazers. Where that goes, we will discuss further. But Brandon, Dame is traded, and it's not to the Heat. What is your first reaction?
So I just want to clarify something real quick. You did say Milwaukee, not Miami, right?
Milwaukee, the Bucks, yeah. In case you've missed any of my victory lap today.
Hey, do you think this gets aggregated so Miami children get all upset again, or
I hope
does
so.
that stop now?
I just want it to be known that the supposed 25-year Florida journalist has been wrong the entire time, and literally everything that I have said and reported over 89 days has been right. Just want to get that out there. Get that out.
I would like to rejoice. I would like to rejoice. I think that's okay to get some stuff out right now. I found this out at the gym. I was at the gym in the middle of a workout. I'm like, you know what? Just check in between sets. Maybe something's happening. And it happened. And I instantly get a call from a friend of mine who does radio in Milwaukee. He's like, yo, can you come on? And I'm like, I'm at the gym, but okay. And I just thought in between waiting for that phone call, you know what I thought, Danny, is, could you imagine if Aaron Fintress okayed that trade like 2 months ago? How we wouldn't have ended up with DeAndre Ayton? Like, could you imagine?
The interesting thing here is that it's not done.
It's not done. That's the thing. It's hard to grade a trade that's not done.
That's the thing about all of this, is that it's not done. And on air today, I said from a basketball standpoint right now, I would give this a C+. Do you think that's fair?
This is where I finished with it. I was chatting with Richmond because I was listening to your show. So I was chatting with a bunch of people, friends of the show. And I came to the conclusion it's a B. And then I kind of went C+. Mm-hmm. And then the one thing that kind of led me back to B territory was the idea of they're going to trade Jrue Holiday.
Yes.
Like,
they are actively shopping him right now.
Yeah.
Do you want to get into that right first, or you want to talk about the other stuff first?
Well, I want to talk about the other stuff.
Okay.
But like, my first gut reaction was not even like thinking. It's just like reacting, right? And I'm like, if Drew's here till the deadline, could there be a mentorship thing? You know, that kind of stuff. And then immediately I hit send, and Woj is on TV, and he's like, they're going to shop Jrue. And I'm like, oh, okay. So they made a trade and they're going to make another trade and they're just going to keep flipping the piece until they kind of get exactly what they want because Miami wasn't going to give them this. Like, you weren't going to be able to move Kyle Lowry the same way you could move Jrue Holiday. So to me, Joe looked at this in multiple ways. He looked at it and said, Miami's the loudest and they won't stop. Dame's side of things was pretty loud and they got warned by the NBA. Mm-hmm. How can I send him somewhere where it makes it look good on us? He'll end up being happy because I know for a fact, not just because he tweeted, but like you talk to people, he is the number one player that dude wants to play with.
Damon, I will tell you unequivocally, Dame and Giannis have talked back and forth for literal years. They have recruited each other to each other's teams. There is not a thing in this world that anyone can tell me otherwise because I have it from the source.
Right. So it's like there's a win there. And then you get a 25-year-old center who's looking for a change of scenery that, like, when he's not even playing that well, he's better than Jusuf Nurkic at this point. And then you also get to see what you flip for Jrue. It was the patience paid off for him. Solid trade. I think some of the territory, Danny, to me today, I think the trade's fine. I'm curious to see what they do with Jrue. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of the noise we got today wasn't so much about the actual trade. It felt like on Portland's side of things, at least how I saw it on Twitter, was Portland fan mostly being ecstatic about this because it wasn't Miami. Like, that almost trumped the actual trade and what you got in it itself.
And that's what I want to make sure we kind of avoid when we talk about like the actual trade itself. Remember, Brandon, when this first got out, and again, I will call back to the Miami aggregators talking about how stupid I was. When you're wrong, you're wrong. What was the thing I said that Miami needs to go out and do?
Facilitate another team.
But not just that. Go get an under 25-year-old premier front court player. What is Deandre Ayton?
That.
Shit was not rocket science. It never was. It never was. Like, well, we could have included Caleb Martin. Talk to your GM. They did not revisit. They did not up their offer. They're totally fine running it back. You don't have the ammunition for Dame. You don't have the ammunition for Giannis. You don't have the ammunition for Donovan Mitchell. You don't have the ammunition for shit.
Right.
So this whole, like, oh, we'll get the next guy. I'll believe it when I see it. This is turning into Danny Ainge chasing ghosts. Almost got him. Darn.
You know who we almost had like 8 years ago?
Look, man, I'm not going to bag on the Miami Heat organization because they're very well run. They have been for years. But they're chasing ghosts right now. And they believe that Dame was in the bag for them. And this is what they got. Like, if I'm going to sit here and say, I believe they messed it up drastically. I think they made a horrendous offer out of the gate, an entirely disrespectful offer out of the gate. We're not going to give you shit for it. Like, there's a room for negotiation. I'm not going to say you need to come out with your best offer. You shouldn't. But coming with that, Tyler Hero and 2 firsts, plus the necessary salary, buddy, you thought Portland was going to pick up the phone again? After the way things were handled in public, too? No.
I think that was the thing, Danny, too. It was like, I'm very curious to see Ayton when he gets here, what he looks like this season with these young guys, right? I want to see what they get for Jrue. I was looking up some Toumani Camara highlights from his Dayton season because he's a rookie.
A guy the Blazers brought in for workouts before the draft.
Kid can shoot 6'8", like he's kind of a position of need, something they kind of
he's a flyer, 6'8" athletic dude with some skills. Let's see what he can do. Like, he's a late second draft pick. Like, not nothing, but totally fine too. Like, it's like, okay, cool, that's fine.
And to me, it just, and the pick stuff is like, we can get into that at some point. I just, people are debating Miami, Milwaukee picks. Like we can argue about that if we want, but they're so far out. Like who knows what they're going to actually be, and if we'll even have them. But I think one of my other takeaways too was if Miami actually took this process more seriously and with the same urgency, I think they win. But like ultimately, it was loud. It got annoying, and they refused to get off their one offer. And I think Portland heard all of it, saw it, and said,
fine.
The F Miami trade.
Yeah.
Like,
and the other part of this is they said, go find something better, essentially.
Yes.
And guess what? Portland had multiple offers at the finish line.
And you know what the funny thing is that we can get into too is like where Jrue goes. The funny thing about it was like Joe saw the situation and was like, okay, guys, I'll do this then. I'll deal Damian Lillard, and then I'll go get your position of need to my team with a player that I don't need, and then you can give me your offer again, so I can flip Tyler Hero or I can flip so-and-so while getting 2 first-round picks, because that's unfortunately where Miami is now. They go from Dame Lillard to, oh, man, we kind of need a Jrue Holiday. Like, now they're in that position, and now it's like, oh, you want to pick up the phone now? Like, now we can talk a little more.
I don't even think Tyler Hero in 2 first gets you Jrue now. Just being honest. Let's get to the just kind of overall situation here. I feel very strongly in saying that Damian Lillard is entirely fine with going to Milwaukee. This is not a situation where he's going to be pissed off about it. He's quite literally playing with the best possible teammate for him in the entire NBA. This is the dream matchup. This is the dream scenario. They are going to break basketball.
Yeah.
If you run a Dame Giannis pick and roll, you throw 2 at Dame and you let Giannis play downhill 4-on-3. If you sag back, you give space to Damian Lamont Ollie Lillard Sr. Meanwhile, on the weak side is Chris Middleton, and in the opposite corner is Brook Lopez.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck. That team stays healthy. Look, that team stays healthy. Knock on all the wood. They're running through teams. They're running through the NBA.
Yeah, I tend to believe that too. If they're healthy the whole year, I think that's the team in the East.
It's the team in the NBA.
I think I tend to agree with you because I love that pairing. I love that Middleton's like the third fiddle there. I love that Brook on some nights can be third or fourth option. The Denver thing would be fun because Jokic had some pretty good matchups against Giannis, but the Dame thing is where it gets real interesting, right? Like,
yeah, they didn't have to guard a point guard. Like everybody's like, exactly. Oh, Miami and Denver, and I'm like, oh, you mean where Jamal Murray didn't have to play the other side of the floor?
Right. Yeah, Gabe Vincent's not Damian Lillard, that's for sure.
They can't hide Jamal Murray with Damian Lillard on the floor. Good luck. You just can't. So it does change the way things look.
My other initial reaction after the Blazers side of stuff, Danny, was I don't know if it's a hot take, and again, if they stay healthy, but I think it's in the running today of this is the greatest trade a championship contending team has ever made in the NBA history. To give up Grayson Allen and some spare parts, and somehow you ended up in the situation with Damian. Like, Jrue Holiday is a good player, okay? Mm-hmm. But Damian Lillard is a top 75 player of all time who's coming off the biggest career year offensively of his life. Like, that element, to just give up Jrue Holiday and a Grayson Allen, like they didn't have to give up a whole lot to go get a Damian Lillard.
No, they helped facilitate a situation. And that's really where we should kind of, I think, steer from here is, yes, the Blazers got DeAndre Ayton. The Suns gave up DeAndre Ayton for Jusuf Nurkic, Grayson Allen, Nassir Little, Keon Johnson. If I would have told you that 3 months ago, 3 weeks ago, 3 days ago, you wouldn't have believed me. I know that because I have been tweeting for 10 goddamn days that DeAndre Ayton is going to be had for Jusuf Nurkic and spare parts.
Mm-hmm.
Look, Grayson Allen is a guy you love to hate. And you should, because he's a dirty player. he should not be the centerpiece to a DeAndre Ayton deal, a guy who was drafted number 1 overall 5 years ago.
Yeah.
This isn't Anthony Bennett. He is not cooked. He is very good, very talented. There are issues. But they're cutting bait on a number 1 pick who can still very much play.
Mm-hmm.
I love Nassir Little. I wish the Blazers could have kept him. He's one of my favorite people I've ever covered. That's not the kind of player you normally would get in return for DeAndre Ayton. And I am not taking any shots at Nas. I love the dude.
Yeah.
But he's had an injury real history. Keon Johnson is a young player who has just been snake bitten by injuries, just like Nas. But he's still very young and still hasn't shown a ton yet.
Mm-hmm.
And Nurk is 29 years old and has had one of the most devastating injuries in basketball.
He's an old 29, man. That's like a 33. That ain't a 29. That's like a 33.
And I will give you this. He is in the best shape of his life in the NBA. He looks incredible. Mm-hmm. And probably because he knew he was getting moved to a team that had championship aspirations. Did you see his tweet? The Suns and 4 guy?
One. Yeah, the Suns and 4 one I saw, yeah.
The man gets it. He is Maximus Decimus Meridius, all right? Like, he knows how to, like, the crowd is Rome. He knows how to stir the crowd, man. I love that about him.
He thanked Portland. He had his things with the team, but pretty classy guy, I think, for the most part. I did almost quote tweet him with the same Suns and 4 photo and say, how many games until you start blocking Suns fans on Twitter? And I was going to have that guy go 4. DeAndre Ayton, most people scapegoated that guy last year. And look, the relationship with Monty, the way it kind of all was, it didn't go well. But he was easily the guy that everybody pointed to with that team and said, he's not doing a good enough job, right? It was never anybody else. And the crazy thing is last year, he played 67 games. Everybody would say it was kind of a down year from what they were expecting. It's better than any year Jusuf Nurkic has ever had in his career.
I need to pull this back up. Keep going, sorry.
Well, it's amazing to me that I don't know what he's going to be, how long it's going to go, but like he's 25 years old. He gets placed into this. Hey, Chris Paul's here, one of the hardest guys to play with because of what he's demanding.
He wears on everyone, everywhere, as great as he is.
Blake Griffin did a golfing video that I watched. He's just playing 18 holes. He was asked, like, Chris is hard to play with, man. He demands a lot. Plus, you pair that with the national spotlight suddenly being in Phoenix, and then everybody going, well,
it's all his fault.
You can't stop Jokic. This is all your fault. Like,
and let's not kid ourselves here. He is a malcontent. It's not like a full reclamation project.
Sure.
But he was available for a reason.
Yes.
And for those wondering, I want to give people some numbers here. In effective field goal percentage in his career, he has been in the 72nd, 48th, 84th, 86th, and 59th percentile. His rim frequency has gone from around 55 to 60% to 42 and 41 in the last 2 years. His mid-range frequency is literally the 98th percentile. He takes a lot of mid-rangers from his shot. But here's the other part of this. He is in the 90th percentile in rim finishing and the 80th percentile in mid-range finishing. He's a 48% mid-range shooter. He is a 75+% rim finisher. You are going to, and he's 7 foot 270.
Mm-hmm.
He is a massive human being that moves like a deer. The Portland Trailblazers, with their current lineup their 8-man of Scoot, Ant, Tease, Grant, Ayton, Sharp, Walker, Murray, is the most athletic team that this franchise has had in 25 years. They are big, they are long, they are athletic. They will get out and run. They will lose a lot of games. But they will be fun.
I was wondering where you were going with that, the way you just rattled everything off right there. I look, there's no doubt it's going to be exciting to watch, to see it kind of what it does through the year, how it grows, how it changes, what they're like when they play on the court together. There's no doubt the guy has kind of tendencies, or at least a history of being a little pouty. But you know what? We just shipped a guy out that was doing that, and we made the playoffs a few different times with him. I think you can get a new change of scenery, and I think with the right people around him, he doesn't have as big a reason to be malcontent. He's not dealing with a point guard yelling at him every other play, or a coach that doesn't like him, or 30 games on national television. He gets to kind of come here in Portland, make his $30 million a year, play with some young stud athletes, get more looks. Like, it could end up being a pretty good thing for him.
Yeah, I'm seeing Heat people saying that, that Jrue Holiday is not going to get any more. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Jrue Holiday is going to get more in a return than Tyler Herro got. I know, and I think this is where we'll pivot here. Everybody keeps asking, what's the return for Jrue? What's the return for Jrue? What's the return for Jrue? I know for a fact there are multiple teams the second Jrue Holiday became available that are inquiring about him. There are more teams that are capable and able to go after Jrue than there were for Damian Lillard. Why? Because he's on a 2-year deal and his salary is smaller. That opens up the pool. There are more teams that can talk themselves into this than they can Dame, because it's a bigger, longer commitment. Now, the return's not going to be this something that's like, oh my God, it's earth-shattering. But I could very easily see them getting a good first-round pick and multiple veteran players that they can then turn and flip. This is, if I understand, if my intel is as good as it has been through this entire thing, is the Blazers are trying to turn a paperclip into a house. You get one thing, you turn it into another, you turn it into another, you turn it into another, and you turn it into another. So they get Jrue Holiday, okay? Now, how do I get Jrue Holiday into a young player and picks, or another veteran player and a pick, or two veterans and a pick, and I can flip that veteran to another team for another pick, and I can flip that veteran for something else, or I can get 3 expiring salaries, a veteran and a pick, and flip that for another veteran that I can flip somewhere. Like, that's what they have to do. And that's why I keep putting this deal like a CC+. But they have the capacity and the capability to go out there and try to turn one thing into another, into another, into another, to try to get something. I've heard Boston, I've heard Philadelphia, I've heard the Clippers, I've heard the Jazz, I've heard
Nets got
Nets.
That, right?
Yes, yeah. I like I said, I have heard of multiple teams right out of the gate. Yeah. They're gonna check in, because Jrue's that dude. He's the best guard defender in the NBA. There's not a primary ball handler in the league that I've ever talked to in the last 5 years who hasn't been like, Jrue is a terror.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I hate playing him. He's got that in him. He's that good. He is a baseline level of competency for you, not just your like ball handlers, but your team. He is a foundational culture piece. That's the way this thing is going to go. And there's a team out there that's going to look at that and go, I'll take that risk, because that's a pro.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the best defensive players in the NBA. Is he this offensive powerhouse? No. But do I have to worry about him in any shape, way, matter, or form? No. No, you don't. I would imagine that a Jrue deal is done before the weekend.
I would also, I think somebody else texted to earlier, they threw Houston out. And I'm not saying Houston doesn't have stuff that maybe makes Joe happy. Maybe Joe does do this. I could be wrong on this take, but my read, not talking to anybody, my read is, I think Joe, even though Dame didn't end up in the city he wanted to, Joe sent him to a better spot. Like, I hate to tell Miami Heat fan that, but like, it is a better spot.
Oh, don't hate that. They made the Milwaukee Bucks the favorites.
Yes.
Unquestionably. It's basketball wise, there's no better landing spot for Damian Lillard than Milwaukee.
But what I noticed is Joe sending him to that spot, right? That was a narrative through this, was like, you're really going to send your franchise player? What's that say about you? Like, well, first of all, we don't get free agents. So thanks for that random comment. But if you were to play into that realm of narrative, I just tend to lean that Joe's going to find a way to ship this dude to a legit team. And I'm not saying Houston can't be legit, but I don't think Houston's going to be good in the next 2 years. That's not something I'm gambling on. And his contract ends. He might retire. He's already talked about maybe retiring at the end of that contract. I tend to think there's going to be a lot of financial reasons to stay and keep playing, but maybe.
And that's the thing is, like, maybe a team looks at him and says, "Hey, come here, don't retire. We'll give you 2 more years. We'll give you an extension, and we'll give you fat money because we have money. But we need an elder statesman in our locker room."
Yes. And I could see him shipping him, and I think he's going to take the best return he can get. But I think Joe is always kind of leaning with these situations I'm going to send him to a place that he actually can go compete and help a good team.
There's something you and I have talked about with Joe, and he has said publicly. What does Joe want to do in trades?
He wants everybody to win.
Do you feel like the Milwaukee Bucks felt like they won right now?
I feel like the Milwaukee Bucks are screaming through the roof. I did an interview in Milwaukee. Like, that was the team that won that trade the most.
Do you think the Suns got what they wanted out of this?
Sadly, I do. Good luck to them with that, though.
But again, do they feel like they got what they...
Yeah.
They have a lot of selling to do because, again, DeAndre, this is not shots at Nurk or Nas or Keon or Grayson Allen. I'll take shots at Grayson Allen. That's fine. But this number 1 overall pick 5 years ago. There's capital. There's investment. Like, they're cutting him loose. And it's not because he's a bad player. Like, that's a lot. So for Portland to get so far, Jrue, Toumani Camara, Ayton, a first and 2 swaps. Can they take Jrue and turn him into multiple firsts? Can they turn him into 2? Can they turn him into 3? Because here's the thing. The Tyler Hero deals that I have heard from numerous teams all were some version of the same of a protected first and a rotation or sub-rotation level player. There was not a team out there that was willing to go above board for that. As I understand it right now, there are offers better than that for Jrue Holiday. Now, if the Blazers can't pull that out and that was a bunch of smoke, that's going to hurt a little bit. But I don't think the Blazers take this deal unless they had a reeling suspicion of what the market was shaping up to be for Jrue Holiday. The other thing about this is the Blazers did not have one offer on the table. They had multiple offers on the table for Damian Lillard when they made their decision. I was told this morning about 8:30 that today was going to be the day and that there were 3 offers, maybe 4 on the table. Legitimate offers. Like, not hey, we'll give you this. Like, here's the offer submitted.
Yeah, basically like Joe picking up the phone and choosing the destination, choosing the trade, and saying, okay, we're good.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, like, the framework is established. This is your offer. Okay, we'll get back to you. And then they sat down and said, here's what we're going to do. Yeah. So this whole idea of Miami's the only suitor out there. Nobody else is going to offer anything. Take the trash from Miami and get lost, Portland poverty franchise. Every last bit of that posturing from that Miami media market, which I will say it again, what an unprofessional just shit show on every level.
It's Miami, bro. Are you watching what's happening in Florida right now?
I mean, I get it, but I thought there would be some semblance of professional pride for people who have done it for decades. I can't even believe the stuff that I saw. Hilariously, the radio guy in Miami, Dan Lebitard, was the one who got it the most. Shouts to Lebitard for the mouthpiece. Did you see the video?
Oh, I saw
the Heat mouthpiece.
Yeah.
Dan gets it.
I mean, the whole show. I mean, the show largely is gonna have different people pop off, but like they did a thing today as soon as it happened, and I was like, I gotta listen to it. And I listened to it, and you know what? It was like a lot of being humbled, but then immediately like leaning into the sports guy thing. Like, now we're gonna get Joel Embiid. Like,
that doesn't mean like they got it from the jump.
Yeah, they knew.
Yeah, so shouts to them. I got nothing but love for Lebitard. I've loved that guy forever. So
it's the best. It's the best sports show in America, in my opinion.
I love those guys.
Yeah.
What is your? I don't know. What is your outcome of this that you're like, yes, that's it. That's it.
Like, that makes me love it?
Let me rephrase this. Is there a deal, a realistic, you don't have to give me particulars. Is there something out there that within the realm of possibilities in your brain could turn this deal into an A?
I'd have to be surprised by Jrue. I mean, a lot of like the grading of trades is a bit ridiculous in general. Like I literally did it 4 times today on text, right? I don't want to sound like a hypocrite there, but it's kind of ridiculous because so much has to play out over time. I mean, Milwaukee got one of the best 15 players in the NBA paired with the first or second best player in the NBA. I don't know how it gets better than that, right? From the Portland angle, though, that stands out. I mean, I think taking the swing on DeAndre, he's already under contract. You know what? If it doesn't move, if it doesn't work out, like, it's a movable asset still, but you're not leaning into that. And if you were to compare the prospects, Danny, like the thing about Miami and Hero, everybody in our mentions with this hero. Like, if Miami was unwilling to find the third team for him, unwilling to do a lot of the legwork, if we're just comping players with age and position, like, it's Ayton. And it's not, I'm not trying to sound biased with that. I know it's the name of the podcast is a Blazer-esque podcast, but it's an actual position of need with an actual timeline that makes sense given the current state of the roster. So, like, it's a bit of a gamble, sure, but he's a positional need. Tyler Hero would have gotten traded here if Portland agreed to it, and it would have turned into, now we got to find a trade for him. And I know you can say, well, they're doing that with Jrue. I think it's a little different, though. Jrue is, everybody in the league knows what Jrue is, and that's good. People don't know I don't know what the consensus is of what Tyler Hero's ceiling is in this league. How good can he be? Has he already peaked? What is he? I think a lot of people are debating that. I don't do that with Jrue Holiday. So it's, to me, I liked the gamble on Ayton because of positional need. And I also just think getting the Holiday part of this is going to help make that trade a little sweeter. It's a solid trade. It's not amazing, but it's not bad. It's a solid trade. You address the position of need, and you go get some more assets with a veteran that doesn't necessarily work for the current state of your team.
I don't think there's a way, and I've said this from the jump, I don't think there's a way that they can win this trade, but there's a way that they can lose it. I don't think they lost it.
No, I don't think they lost it.
I think they did enough right now to be like, it's not great, but you got, and so nobody can say I'm sitting here acting funny. I said I don't want a collection of assets. I want one shiny thing. Give me one thing I can say, okay, they got one thing. They did. They got the one thing. Now, can they get more? Turn this into a solid B, maybe a B+? Let's see what they can do. If they can't, that's a bummer. Gotta hold some feet to the fire.
Right.
But I have a reeling suspicion that they're going to be able to get more for Tyler or for Jrue Holiday than they were gonna get for Tyler Hero. And that's not some like homerism. That's just based on what I'm being told by people in the league. There are not people clamoring for Tyler Hero. There are people clamoring for an all-defensive first-team, all-star point guard, NBA title-winning point guard. Like, I don't know why that's this hard thing for people to kind of grasp, but yeah.
Did you, I'm sure you're a sicko, so I'm sure you've seen and heard literally everything possibly made already. Did you see the Amin El-Hassan video? I think he was in a car or something and he was giving his thoughts. I think it was with Levitard. He was giving his thoughts. And like, I don't know if they caught him at a bad time. The dude knows so much basketball, but like, to honestly look at that interview and say, this was just a spite deal. Like, if you told me there's some spite involved, I'm absolutely believing it.
Honestly, if you don't think that there is emotions in this, that's
sure.
There was.
There's had to have been high emotions given everything said, done, etc.
Nobody between Portland or Miami or Dame's camp acted in good faith anywhere.
I mean, it was just all over the place.
No, anybody's like, Everybody's like, oh, Miami's innocent in this. They're just trying to get the fuck out of here. No, they weren't. Pissed off Portland. Portland pissed off Dame. Like, it's a whole circle of everybody pissing each other off.
Sure.
Just admit that. It's okay to admit that. People everywhere, egos and feelings were hurt. There is no doubt about that.
I will honestly always reference this trade when talking about it as the F Miami trade. That's how this will go down in my memory. This is a sports memory.
Oh, you're not the only one either. And I think honestly it'll have that tag, not just locally but nationally.
It should. I mean, it's clearly some spite was here, but like he was on this, it's just spite and this deal isn't better. And I'm like, bro, okay. The pick thing again, call it a wash. Like getting Hero and Kyle Lowry versus getting a center and a veteran point guard that other teams covet. Like, how can you not say that this is better than that offer? Could Miami have made a stronger offer? Yeah.
Yes.
But they didn't. And they want to, in Portland, I think, shout out to the Trailblazers, P1s of this podcast, because I've been saying for months, deal that dude before media day. I don't want to deal with it.
Of which, as a reminder, scheduling note, I will be there live at media day on Monday.
I'm thinking of going too, honestly. Like, it's going to be a sight to behold, and there's a lot of questions to ask. But I feel like that's a disingenuous thing to say, that it's not a better deal. They needed a center, a younger one. They got it.
And not just a center. They got a. We've been talking about this for 6 months. Ever since the tag on Joe Cronin came off, the thing that I have said is that the Blazers would be open to changing that position if they can find a younger, more athletic center who fits stylistically what they want to do. They didn't just go get a young center. They got a young center that fits the team that they want to build. They want to run pick and rolls with Scoot Henderson and DeAndre Ayton.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Simons and DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah.
You've got a rim roller, like real rim rolling gravity for the first time since 2014. And look, LaMarcus didn't, remember what he was called LaMarcia because he didn't roll as often as we wanted him to and he popped. It's the same thing as Ayton.
Oh, I mean, you can make a real argument. He's most athletic center Portland's had since fill in the blank. I mean, think about that. Like, even Odin's sample size too small for me to throw that in there.
Hickson's too small, but JJ was dumb athletic.
Yeah.
But he was only 6 feet. He's like 6'7".
Yeah.
Let's play this game real quick. So before that, so you had Prisbilla.
Yeah.
Camby, he was too old then.
Too old.
Greg, obviously his legs were cooked.
Yep. Davis there.
Ed's more power forwardy, but
no, I was talking Dale.
Dale, oh yeah. But in between that, you had Hassan Jin.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that reminder. That's great. I watched that guy literally shoot a 2-foot baby hook and hit nothing but the back of the backboard.
Boom Shay, boom Shay.
Boom Shay, boom Shay. How can we ever forget?
I mean,
seriously.
It's probably
it's pre-Sabas.
It's probably Cliff when he played like those weird, like the early iteration small ball lineups with Cliff at the 5.
Okay, but you see how far back it's going?
Why do you think I said this is the most athletic team they've put on the floor in 25 years? Because it's not up for debate.
No, but that's kind of the point. Is like that's why those narratives. I think it's one thing to be wrong on some of this stuff. It's another to be surprised that Milwaukee was the team to facilitate with Phoenix and whatnot, but to seriously look at a camera and say it's not a better deal. Oh, okay. Like, we could have got Kyle Lowry, who's a worse player than Jrue Holiday right now. That's not debatable. And a position we didn't need, who we'd also probably have to trade.
Ooh, good call. Sorry to interrupt you. Theo Ratliff.
The Rattler.
Yeah, that's the one. Pretty
good one.
That's the last time they had somebody long, rangy, and bouncy like who was effective there.
Because we still have the 76ers Theo Ratliff because they went off him and went
he can still move.
Yeah. But my point is, those kind of comments exist, and I'm not giving this the greatest grade of all time as a trade, but like, stop with this. It's not better than Hero, Kyle Lowry, and 2 first-round picks.
it's gonna be interesting to see how that all kind of shapes out.
Yeah.
In the next version of that. Is that your Giannis jersey?
Yes, it is my Giannis jersey.
For those that don't know, I did tweet it out, and this is, for me, it's very, very cool. I have said for literal there you go. Mir and Fader's book, Giannis, if you want to read it.
Shout out Mir and Fader. I don't know why my background's blurring it out, but
it's a fantastic biography. I have 2 autographed jerseys that I have framed up currently. I have a third. My Roy jersey frame got broken, unfortunately.
That sucks.
But I have 2 autographed jerseys currently up in my office right now. Dame and Giannis.
Where did you get the Giannis?
I pulled some strings.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I'm thinking about going to this game as a media member because the 100 level tickets are like $1,200.
Oh yeah,
already.
100%. And I mean, the national media is going to be there too. So make sure you get to a few games before that, so they don't cut you off.
Hey, you know what? You put me in 207. I'm used to that life, dog. It don't matter to me. I just want to be in the
You're gonna sit center court with me? Okay.
I'd love to sit next to you, but I know how that goes. But I don't do it. I've never done it. This might be the first time I've ever taken something, snuck it in, and at the end when the game's done, been like, yo, I hate to bother you right
Pass
now.
it off to somebody to have it, yeah.
No, I might just straight up walk up to him like, yo, big fan of yours, got the book, everything. And I don't know. If he's in the right mood, it depends. We'll see what happens.
I've seen a few people talk about Dame's song. Have you seen the lyrics?
You know, I saw one tweet with like, don't believe the narrative, or, I love you. Like, I saw that. I haven't listened to it. I'm assuming it's emotional.
It is.
Yeah.
Look, it's a breakup.
Mm-hmm. It's a divorce. I'd say it's a divorce.
That's a better way to put this. It's gonna be ugly.
Yeah.
Feelings are hurt on both sides.
But can I interrupt real quick? But
yeah.
I saw his cousin, Brookfield Deuce. Mm-hmm. Everybody found out that was his cousin years ago. I saw him with this big, long rant and tweet. And, like, I get it, man. Like, you don't get to go with your cousin to Miami. Okay. But if I could just interject a little bit, I'm not saying things didn't happen where certain people feel a certain way and this wasn't messy in some ways behind the scenes. Can we stop with the pretending like this is some worst possible scenario that's happened to a star? Like, we literally shipped him to the first.
I don't think anyone. I will say very strongly. I don't think anyone in Dame's camp is mad and or frustrated about him going to Milwaukee. The moving to Milwaukee has its challenges.
Sure, so does Portland.
But basketball-wise, there are no issues.
None. There shouldn't be any. It's a great team. It's the East favorite.
So that's the thing is, like, it's gonna get ugly and it's gonna get messy.
All-Star game.
And the reality, he's good Lord.
He's gonna get a lot more recognition, and he's
gonna be on national TV 40 times.
Yes.
I can tell you right now that Heat Blazers game not on national TV anymore.
Yeah, they're gonna flex the hell out of that thing. And those ticket prices went way down.
So, listen, sorry to all you guys who bought that ticket, thinking that's tough. There's so much in this. Is there anything on Nurk Nas that you want?
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to say, I'm really rooting for Nas to stay healthy here. This is a huge opportunity for him in Phoenix, man, because he's been a guy that I think we have seen flashes with, but just for not his fault, cannot stay healthy.
No, yeah, just the dumbest, most randomly insane things.
If he stays healthy, Danny, I think he's a pretty good role guy for them. I'm not saying he's their sixth man or anything.
No, but they have so many scorers, so many dribblers, so many creation guys. All he has to do is focus on, like, let me get downhill, let me get in transition, let me do the dirty work. Look, Nas has accepted, and I mean this in a flattering way, that he is a role guy. And he has honed his three-point shot. completely broke it down, built it back up. He understands what he needs to do. If he can stay healthy, I am 100% with you. He can be an impactful role guy in Phoenix.
If he can be what Jay Crowder was 2 years ago before he got disgruntled.
Without being an ass. Yeah, exactly.
Phoenix would be through the roof.
Yep.
It's also not going to surprise me at all. You speak of that, and I love to hear, like, his interview is still one of my all-time favorite interviews after he got that contract. $28 million is life-changing.
If you would have told me at 18 years old that I would have $28 million in a contract, I would have called you crazy. And that's not a line from Nassir. Like, I know him relatively well. He is 100% rooted in reality. It was funny. He was moving into a place, and he was talking about furniture, and he was telling me, do you know how much it costs to get, like, nice furniture for a house? And he tells me the price. He goes, I ain't paying for that. I'm going to IKEA.
Yes, good for him. But, you know, as easy to be for you and I to say $28 million. Well, I'm in.
That's tough to say yes to as an NBA player.
It's different for guys like that, man. Like, that guy was the best basketball player.
He was the number 5 prospect in the country. For those that don't know, number 5 prospect in the country coming out.
I mean, Danny, how many games did he play before he wasn't the best player on the court? Ever?
Probably every day until he got to North Carolina.
Exactly. So it's not always easy for that. So for you to say that makes me love and cheer for him more. I also won't be shocked if he's the guy on a TNT weeknight game getting into a little bit of a scuffle defending a Devin Booker after a foul or something like that.
Oh, yeah, a little enforcer action?
A little bit. Yeah, he's a
Look,
big
I will,
dude now,
I will
man.
tell you this right now. The hub of the Blazers locker room for the last 3 years always had Nassir Little in the middle of it. He was involved in every conversation. He was in every joke. Always, like, he is a guy that you, as a teammate, you want. Mm-hmm. You gravitate towards Nas because he's genuine.
Yeah.
Like, I think some of that stuff gets lost in, like, oh, this guy can't do this, like, he can't shoot, or he can't defend, or, like, and it's like, there is more intrinsic stuff. Nas is a guy you want in your locker room. Nas is a guy you want around you as a person. Of all the athletes that I've covered, there has always been something about him that I appreciated and respected, and it was always like, he's just good.
Yeah, he's just a nice person.
He's just a good human. Like, yeah. It's genuine. There's nothing fake. He hasn't changed. The money hasn't changed him. The fame hasn't changed. Look, does he wear some nice clothes? Yeah. But he's been rooted. And you got to give him all the respect and all the praise to him and his parents, how they raised him and how he has stayed true to him. And I wish him nothing but the best. And honestly, as up and down as things have been with Jusuf Nurkic, the same. I wish him nothing but the best. Like, people made fun of, like, him and I going back and forth last year. It's like, and remember, it was about me saying DeAndre Ayton was better than him.
Which is pretty ironic. Like, it'd be kind of funny if you trolled and brought that back and were like, update, question mark? Don't do it, though.
I'm not. Look,
largely,
Nurk
he had a lot of fans here. He had a lot of fans, Jusuf did.
I was a fan of him as a human because we went through similar things. Like, I've talked about this. I hope he can find whatever he's looking for, and Phoenix utilizes him to the best. I want a Phoenix-Milwaukee finals. Oh, you know one thing we haven't addressed? Dame's going to Miami with Giannis. But guess who else? Old Tear Bear. Terry Stotts is running the offense, and he has Giannis and Dame to work with.
Well, don't exclude Rolo or Pat Connaughton out of this equation. It's the 2014 Blazers are back, baby.
Phoenix has the Blazers front court from last year in Jusuf Nurkic and Drew Eubanks.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Okay. They also have Nassir Little and Keon Johnson and James Jones, who, incidentally enough, James Jones is 1 year in Portland. Do you know what year that was?
I'm going to guess it was a year with Terry.
No, it was a year that Joe Cronin started with the Trailblazers.
Oh, it was way back then? I
2000s,
guess that was a long time ago.
2007.
Yeah, you're right. What am I doing? That's funny.
Relationships.
What makes me mad is, I just want to say this, like, Milwaukee has everything we should have, right? They have Terry Stotts. Like, I knew what he was. I knew what he was about. I saw what he did, the impact. Players talked about it. Their co-owner is an Oregon State alum, Wes Edens, who contributes more to the Milwaukee Bucks, I think, than the college football team that he graduated from. Their bench guys are former Trailblazers. And instead of drafting a different player or a position of need, they went with potential and gambled on a guy from Greece and said, this is the dude. Danny Ferry wants him. Danny Ainge is eyeing him. We're taking him. They just got lucky that he grew another 3 inches and he gained muscle mass and became one of the most dominant forces we've seen since Shaq. And now they've added Damian Lillard. Like, everything about Milwaukee is something Portland should have had, could have had, but we never did, and we don't. So it's really sad to say that out loud, but I'm probably going to be at a Milwaukee parade next year randomly.
There is no team in basketball that I'm going to pull for more this year than Milwaukee.
I was already rooting for him. That's the great thing is the Mirren Fader book and the jersey. And I think Giannis is genuinely a good dude. I was already kind of an Eastern Conference Bucks fan. Now that Dame's there, like, it makes it easy. I can watch Portland develop, grow, kind of suck. And then the playoffs start. I have a dog to back now. I have the Milwaukee Bucks to pull for.
Anything else you wanna get in here?
I just want to, like, I'm so glad it's done. I really am.
Buddy, the relief.
Well, the thing about the difference is, like, I'm not getting off work or doing something and then, like, I'm not prioritizing this in my, like, you spend a lot of time calling people, texting people, being on this, and that's
90 days.
That's not fun. That's a grind. People don't understand. Like, that shit is a grind. It sounds fun, and then you do it, and it's a grind.
It's not. I will tell you right now, it's not fun. I do not envy Woj and Shams. I want no part of that. The number of times I was out on my back porch at 2:00 in the morning on the phone. No, thank you.
Yeah, I have no interest in that. So I'm glad the speculation's done. All the takes are out there. Most of them did not age well, but I'm glad Damon's up in a good spot. I was one of those people, like, I wasn't saying send him to Miami for the crap deal, but I was kind of one of those people, like, I'd like to see them reward him with a good destination. And I'm glad that they got a player like Ayton in return, and now we wait for the Jrue trade, and we hopefully get some decent pieces in return for that.
Well, we do have breaking news.
Okay.
The Trailblazers have released a statement.
Oh.
The Portland Trailblazers have acquired center Deandre Ayton, forward Toumani Camara from the Phoenix Suns in exchange for guard Keon Johnson, forward Nassir Little, and center Jusuf Nurkic. The team announced today. Additionally, Portland acquired Jrue Holiday, a 2029 first-round pick, and the right to swap first-round picks in 2028 and 2030 from the Milwaukee Bucks in exchange for guard Damian Lillard. Milwaukee also sends guard Grayson Allen to Phoenix. And there's a further statement. On behalf of the entire Portland Trailblazers organization, I want to express my gratitude to Damian for 11 storied years with his franchise and for his loyalty to the Portland community, said General Manager Joe Cronin. From becoming the all-time leading point scorer in franchise history to his dedicated commitment to youth across Oregon and the entire Pacific Northwest, Damian is and will remain a Titan and a true Trailblazer to this city. I would also like to thank Jusuf Nurkic for his devotion to Portland's last 7 seasons, said Cronin. A consummate professional on and off the court, Nurk has been a key leader for this team, and we appreciate his dedication and passion for this franchise, the city, and the fans. Thank you to Keon Johnson and Nassir Little for their contributions to Trailblazers Portland as well, added Cronin. We wish Dame, Nurk, Keon, and Nas much success going forward.
Stay classy, Portland.
Well, if they're releasing that statement, that means the paperwork has been submitted.
Yeah, the Milwaukee Bucks have also released their thing.
So what's interesting is I'm going to have to take a look and see if they can no longer trade Jrue. Okay, there we go. If they can no longer trade Jrue for 60 days.
Well, that was my I don't know the CBA stuff like you do, and I'm too stupid to like want to dive in and learn it. But that was kind of one my initial takeaway was I couldn't remember if
I
you
need
could
to
trade right
double
away.
check this.
No, yeah, double check it. But like I couldn't remember if you could trade right away. And if you can't, man, like I kind of like having Jrue here. Like I know it's a weird, for the same arguments about you guys didn't want Hero because of position. Like I get it, but Drew's such a professional, man. And like Scoot already seems so mature even at 19 that like I kind of just I want him to be talking his ear off. I hope Jrue in practice is kind of giving him some odds and ends to kind of learn from before we ship him off to a real contender.
They've got DeAndre Ayton in that number 2 jersey in it. Looks pretty good.
He's wearing. Oh, where's the? I didn't see the photo. Hold on.
Yeah.
Give me a second.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Did they just tweet it out?
The Blazers did, yeah.
Okay, give me a second.
So it's from their official account. Was it?
Damn, Milwaukee already has the hype video for Dame.
Listen. So is it the aggregation of Jrue is where I'm trying to double check. I remember when they've done this in the past, he can be traded by himself. Oh, they're shout out Hyken. Hyken just texted me as I was going through it. I could never remember the aggregation rule. They could trade Jrue by himself, but not as aggregated with other players. That's what it is. So Jrue is still eligible to be traded.
So it could be hypothetically Jrue for a young prospect and 2 picks.
Well, he just can't be included with other players from Portland. He can be traded by himself.
That's what I'm saying, though. Yeah. Okay.
So he can be traded for anything.
Okay.
So they just can't aggregate salary on top of it. So he makes $35 million. I need to, now that the books are done, or now that the trade is official, I need to go look at the salaries for everything to know exactly where they stand with stuff. Because this is going to be wonky. Knowing what they can and can't get back and how close to the luxury tax line. The good thing is now we know established salaries with guys. What we don't know is whether or not they, which guys they won't or will not bring to or post camp, because they have a bunch of guys on non-guaranteed deals. This is what we talked about when they started signing guys. Like, well, we can kind of fill out the roster and have guys ready just in case.
Right.
And now we'll have to sort through how many people they have. So it's gonna be interesting. So
I only have one more thing.
What's up?
Does he do it? Does he get a chip? Does he finally get a chip?
I think so. Dame is playing with his best teammate of all time, and Giannis is playing with his best teammate of all time.
Yeah.
Giannis is a top 20 player of all time.
Yes.
Dame is a top 75 when it's all done. He might move into top 50.
Sure.
I hope he does. I want nothing more this year. Yeah. In sports, I will gladly give up any of my other teams winning a title if the Bucks win a title and Dame gets one, because I genuinely believe that he deserves that opportunity, because the last general manager fucked him.
So USC can beat Georgia in the national championship game, and you tell God to let them lose so Dame can win in Milwaukee?
I'm 100%. I will be honest. I think it would be cooler if Dame won a ring. Besides, I've seen USC win titles before.
And there's the asshole.
Fight on, bitches! I've seen that in my lifetime, thank you. In fact, I've seen multiple, so I'm good. Don't get me wrong, I want more. I always want more, but I genuinely would give up USC winning a title if Dame and the Bucks won one. I think it would be cool as hell.
I wouldn't do that because my NFL team is good. My baseball team is the best team in baseball, and I want my college football team to be in a real conference. I wouldn't do those things, but I'm absolutely rooting and hoping he can get a chip. I really am.
I think it'd be cool as hell. We will be back when the Jrue trade happens. As I understand it, I think that the goal is right now, I think that they want to have this done kind of before the weekend. Before camp, at least.
Yeah.
And as I said before, there was no shortage of offers and discussion of offers right out of the gate.
Yeah.
So I would expect that there's movement on that pretty quick. And then we can do the how did the Blazers do? How did Joe Cronin do?
Mm-hmm.
We can do the triage and the assessment of how they got out of this.
Yeah.
So this is it's a sad good day.
It's the end of an era, and
that's the thing is it's genuinely the end of an era. Ant is the only player left from the Olshey era. Do you know that?
I did. I saw that. Somebody said that yesterday. He's the only team from the Western Conference Finals team, and I'm just like, oh God, that was only 4 years ago, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's great, but that's how this league operates, Danny. It's a 2-year league, man. Everything's changing in 2 years. You think Kevin Durant's gonna win 10 titles in Golden State, then he only signs 1-and-1s, and then he's out. Like everything goes quicker than you think it will in the NBA.
And that's why the Bucks capitalized here.
Yeah.
Because there's only so many times you have these opportunities, and you have a great player, and they are doing it. So we will be back once we know the Jrue deal, and then after that, we will get into it. We've held off on doing shows. For those who don't know, I'll tell you, we were going to do a show on Sunday. I had heard that there was some momentum building going into that night, and I said, you know what, let's go ahead and hold off. And then we were going to do it Monday night, and I was playing golf.
Yep.
And I got word that it wasn't happening.
Yeah. And then we were going to do it Tuesday night.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened. Your transmission died, so I just figured you're busy. I don't like bothering you.
Yeah, no, I did have a lot going on. But I also, if I knew something was going to happen, I would have told you, hey, it's happening. And then obviously today, here we are. Yeah. You can find us on social media at Danny Mering, at Brandon Sprague, at Jacked Ramsays. Email the show, jackedramsays@gmail.com. And I would be not only improper, but it would be breaking a bet. Jacked Ramsays brought to you by Move Insoles, and that will not change that Damian Lillard is in Milwaukee. That is still going to roll. I believe they had 20% off through the end of the week on Move Insoles. I played my first game of basketball in 5 years last Monday. I am actually still recovering because my legs have quite literally not been able to handle that. Turns out when you physically haven't been able to run in 5 years because your hips and knees are destroyed.
Basketball is a tough sport to be jumping into, buddy.
Played 4 games.
Oh, full court?
Full court, shorter court.
Oh, man.
But I didn't go 100%, but I did pick up a calf strain.
We're old, man. We're freaking old.
Yes. So get your Move insoles, get your shoes. And if anybody can point me to a pair of Sabrina 1s in a size 12, holler at me. I'm still trying to track down a pair. And that, you got anything, brother?
I don't. Just thank you guys for reaching out. Like, I do want to take a quick second to know that, like, I haven't been as heavy on social lately. I dealing with stuff behind the scenes with my family and whatnot. To know that, like, when something like this happens, there are legitimately people who reach out and tweet us or tell, like, pod tonight. Like, the fact that you guys do that, we see that. And if we don't say it enough, then shame on us. But, like, I got home, I was sorting through stuff, and then I check mentions, and I see all these people just like, pod tonight, pod. Come on, you guys, pod tonight. And I'm just like, that's really cool. So thank you guys for rocking with the show. Thanks for hanging with us when we do these. I know we don't do them. We're not Mike Richmonds of the world. I think that's psychotic behavior, but Mike is a different breed, man. But
shout out Mike for doing this every day. We do this every day on the radio.
Well, that's the other thing is, like, it's a little different for us because we do radio shows. So, like, we do talk a lot of Blazers on our radio show.
We do talk for 3 hours every day.
Right. But thank you for rocking with the podcast. Yeah. And the rest of this week, tomorrow, Friday, we do talk college football, NFL football a lot, obviously. Mm-hmm. But, like, this happening, we're going to have a lot more to talk about on the radio. So if you tune into my show 6 to 9 or Danny's 12 to 3.
Or, like today, 11:18 to 3.
Right. And I've had one of those days when Neil got fired. He got fired at 9:10 a.m.
Oh, there you go.
Let us go back on the air. And Jeff was like, yep, go ahead. So thank you guys for rocking with us. We appreciate the support.
We do appreciate you. Like, rate, review, subscribe. Help us grow the show as we get into the season. I've been holding off on player previews and any content because I needed to know who was going to be here before I start cranking stuff out and saying this are goals. How's this going to shake out? Once they move Jrue, I'll dive into it more. We know the principal actors right now, but let's make sure there's no other young player that matters coming back and kind of give an understanding. What I will probably do for the Patreon subscribers, I'll probably open up a Q&A coming up this weekend, and we'll probably dive. You know what? Not even probably. We will dive into Deandre Ayton film. So if you want to be a part of that, that's there for you. And I'll do some other stuff here on the YouTube channel, breaking down some other things. So the content is going to start flowing now that we have resolution, for lack of a better term. As Brandon said, Brandon Sprague, Dirt and Sprague, 6 to 9 every morning, 1080 The Fan. Danny and Dusty, noon to 3, also on 1080 The Fan. Everybody have a wonderful, wonderful night. Take care. Talk soon. We will catch you guys as soon as Jrue gets moved. And then we'll come back and kind of wrap this section of it all up. And then Monday, Media Day, we will have a Media Day wrap up. Regardless of where things stand, we will dive in there, and we look forward to training camp. Monday, the Trailblazers season is officially underway.
Wow.
We're there.
Yep.
So everybody have a wonderful night. Listen to Brandon in the morning. Listen to me in the afternoon.